All right, we're recording.
Okay. Basically what we've done, this has been, I think I've edited this one too over time. This is the one where we write in special appearance in private that your letter rogatory to accept this offer for honor on behalf of the name. And then you transfer, assign, release, and deliver any kind of interest in any kind of property regarding acceptance upon condition the debt receipt be retired whenever reissued, and any revenues received be used to reduce the public debt in fulfillment of the simple treaty of peace and protection, which is our affidavit we made where we accepted it, where we accepted all the peace treaties. Okay? So now, once we accept the peace treaty and we perform, you accept 1295A2, acquittance and discharge of any further obligation. It's not of the debt. It's of the name of the account, the name you use, that account. It's obligation to it.
Right.
Okay, that's all you're after. You don't care what they do with the debt. They can use it to wipe their butt, or they can use it to sell it off for 1,000 times over. I don't care, because that's their use of fuck at this point. It doesn't come back to you. It's all theirs now. All that debt is theirs to do whatever they want to do with it. Fine. That's great. Now, in accordance with 1295, okay, and now we authorize the United States to enforce the contract. When we authorize the United States to enforce the contract, this name becomes an executor for that name of this reversionary interest. Okay? So that's what you do. Now you contact the judge, or whoever made the claim, whoever's administrating it. This is the corporation it came from. And you appoint him as special executor for this matter and none other, in acceptance of his oath of office. If he doesn't have those laws, I don't care. But all public officials have one. Either they signed it or they didn't, I don't care. If they signed it when they got their first paycheck.
Subscribe those for oath of office. Yep.
All right, they want to pull this thing where they can pull our signatures off everything we do. We can pull their signatures off everything they do. They accepted payment for services under their oath. They have an oath.
Yep.
That's it. I don't need anybody telling me they do or not. They got paid, they got an oath.
They've already offered to be the public trustee by the fact that they have an oath and a bond.
They are the U.S. citizen obligated.
Right. And if they're going to go private with it, then it's a violation of international law for using their position of power of authority in a hostile country for private profit gain. You just immediately flip it over on them. I don't care what they're doing. They want to act like children, I will treat them like a child. Just like you act like we act like children, we get treated like children. This is all mirror images of each other. This is all the rubber glue defense type stuff. So you want to act like a child, don't come at me like don't come to me like a spoiled little child, because that's how I'm going to treat you. Okay? So you do it for none other. This matter and none other means you can't spill over.
It's not general power of attorney, it's limited power of attorney.
Now, is this after they make a ruling? Because like we're in BK.
This is just when they give you the offer.
Just if they make a claim. If they make a claim.
If they make a complaint, that's a claim.
Yep.
They initiate a proceeding, they just made a claim.
If they want to steal something out of the estate from the United States, they've got to be bonded.
Remember, don't steal it.
Because like we had talked, remember she took the two court cases off calendar. So you both told us she's gone into private now.
Right.
So I need to
Now
get this
you're
off.
coming in her private. Now she's working in her private capacity, and under the international laws and everything else, under the Libra Code, she's now not operating in her public capacity. Therefore, she no longer has immunity. She's entered into a private contract with you.
So I got to get this off.
Correct. Okay. Now what you do is you grant the judge, and I guess you grant a little bit of power of attorney to go collect the bonds issued for delivery to you. So you can endorse them over to the United States, or they can do it, or they can give them over to the United States in blank, which is just give it to them without anything on it.
Yeah.
They can either do it to you or do it to them. One way or another, the United States is getting this shit. All right? And I'm either going to be the one to deliver. They will. If they don't do it, they're withholding. And now if you're doing this, after, I think it's 90 days, if you don't limit it, on this Form 56, you'll appoint this judge right here as a fiduciary to go collect. On your Form 56 is...
Form 56 is in this package.
Okay, you got it up?
Here, let's scroll down.
I think it's the last page.
Scroll down. No, that's scrolling up. Scroll down. Keep going past all that. This is the judgment where they made a claim. And now here it is. Here's the Form 56.
Form 56.
A straight 56, not an F.
Not an
Yeah.
F.
Okay.
Judge, or whoever's doing it, this is the the one who's making the claim, who's administrating the account. This is the account holder, the name, social security number. Put your social security number identifying number, not decedent's social security number. You put in an identifying number because the instructions are specific that if the assets are being held and controlled by another party, it goes in the identifying number. The decedent's number, you don't put decedent, you put in an identifying.
Read the directions.
When in doubt, read the instructions.
What?
Alright, now you come in, you're appointed special executor, you're appointed as special executor by general executor. You're really doing this under 1951 Power of Appointment Act. So that would be your authorization for it.
You'll see that on the mandatory judicial notice.
On these, we also put in E for bankruptcy or assignment of other benefits. And we come in under 31 USC for 3170, or 3173. That's the assignment for the benefit of creditors, and 11 USC 558.
For the bankruptcy law.
Yeah, I didn't do that with this,
No, you
but
didn't do that with this, but that's what we usually do, that's what we started doing with that. This is the special executor, and it's upon receipt of notice for none other, and it's only for the collection of proceeds and everything. Then you give them all the taxes associated with it, and then the rest of the form's self-explanatory.
now I take this too and it goes to the IRS first.
Yeah, you get it,
Intake.
you take the IRS and you get it received by them, and then you make 2 copies, get them stamped. One you leave with them, one you get marked receipt for your records, to show that it went in.
Now,
So you actually
what
take
I'd like to
it
say
there?
something.
File it.
You take it to
Huh?
there?
Sure.
File it with your
So-
address.
Buy it
Yeah.
out there and have them
Yeah.
At the
Then you
intake,
send
That's
them
what
a
I brought a
copy.
bunch of
Then you
copies.
send them a
in.
copy.
You bring 2 copies in, one to file, one for them to stamp, and you
Yes,
bring the
sir.
stamp home, and you make your copies of that to give out.
Yeah,
at the intake,
At the intake.
right at the front
intake,
desk.
remember, it's intake,
Yep,
okay?
yeah, it's right at the front desk.
You go to the front desk,
Oh,
I need to
no, yeah, no,
follow.
we got it. Yeah, no, I know.
Now,
Right.
then you just scroll down a little bit. Okay. No, yeah, there we go. All right, when you're doing your court administrative proceedings, most of it will happen inside the court. However, if they do shrinks and other stuff, you always fill out this and put the address of the shrink. Because the shrink is another proceeding.
What do you mean shrink?
If they send you for a psychiatric evaluation,
Yeah, no,
Head doctor, okay.
5150,
They're gonna try to make it incompetent. They're gonna try to throw that incompetence
yeah, but the
curveball at
competent,
you.
remember, all you do then is you just go in and collect this, collect the security. You do a notice to the shrink that you're coming in to collect the securities because you're doing the claim and recoupment. Because they just constitute an infant, okay?
So then you say you'd be
So,
doing.
but the shrink, that's the only place to do this, is the place of other proceedings will be with the shrink. The rest of this stuff is just the standard court shit.
Separate proceedings and you fill that blank.
Oh, so you would fill that in if they sent you to the shrink?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
you fill in this, but if it's in court already, you fill out all this, but this right here is only filled in if they sent you to like
Gotcha.
another place, like they did another hearing somewhere else or had another administrative function somewhere.
but the appointment is still the same to the judge.
Yes, to the judge.
You're not gonna appoint as a Form 56 to the shrink, it's only to the judge.
Right, but this is the place of other proceedings because the judge orders it to happen,
Yeah.
and usually the plaintiff pays for it.
Yeah.
So it's a place of another proceeding.
Judge and or clerk, if the clerk did the writ of possession,
What's that?
if the clerk did the writ of possession, would you do the clerk?
Did the judge order it?
Then the judge is making a
You
claim.
know, if the clerk followed through on the selling of the property, then
I would do the clerk.
Yeah, that's clerk.
I would do the clerk as a
The other place
fiduciary
of
at that
proceedings
point.
would be the clerk.
Because when we come in, when we tell them what's going, when we object to or we accept and give over to the clerk's not supposed to move on to it. It's not supposed to move any further. So when the clerk does it, he assumes all fiduciary liabilities now.
Yeah, but that's a different application of what this is right here, because this was regarding his situation, it's not a foreclosure.
Yeah, this is a foreclosure.
This is a
Oh,
foreclosure.
this isn't mine, this is his.
Oh, okay.
This is a
No,
foreclosure.
no, here's what happened in this particular, we were gonna go with the clerk, and we all four met, we bum rushed the clerk, if you will. The clerk said, look, I'm not gonna do anything if there's no order. And then in fact, when the title was changed and they saw the order, the clerk's attorney flipped out and put in an emergency motion in order to vacate title. Now, the judge refused it, so the judge is now, it's his bond on the line.
Right, now-
So I'm appointing that judge.
Right.
Yes, yes,
Now
yes.
what you're doing now is, because in Florida at least, under Rules of Civil Procedure 1.14, they have to put all bonds into the record.
Yeah.
All bonds, everything, all instruments, everything that they're gonna do has to go into the record.
Financial transparency act.
Yep, the second they fail to do that, there is no claim.
Now, when the clerk gets involved, now his bond, I would put
Correct.
them down, definitely, man.
Correct,
Yeah.
now go
I
up.
might go back and redo this and,
Now, wait, next to signature, you put
Oh, yeah.
Office of
Oh yeah,
Executive.
next to this part right here,
Office of
we
Executive.
put a colon off from Office of Executor.
And then who signed that?
And then we sign it. and
The
then we
trustee.
Trustee for the general executive.
Next to it says signature.
Trustee, for
Yeah,
the general executor on one special event and one special issue only.
right.
All right.
all right, go back up.
From the-
Under the power of appointment, that's how you transfer that document.
Keep going. We're gonna go up.
Did they issue a true bill?
Keep going up. There we are. All right, when you do this, you have to give mandatory judicial notice. If not, he can ignore it. Simple rules.
What's that?
Mandatory judicial notice or he can ignore it.
Well, he did that, and the judge put in the case.
we just looked today and the judge was like, but entered into the file but not read. I've never seen that on anything in the
Not
document.
read?
No, I can show you, not read.
Not read?
He's trying to do this. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
You
don't see no evil, hear no evil.
He's still appointed. It doesn't matter if you read it or
IRS will
not.
take care of it.
I don't care if you read it or not. He's still appointed as the account executor.
Yep.
He's got his notice. It's like you getting a notice and choosing not to read it.
Yeah.
All right, he got his notice and he chose not to read it.
He done been served.
My
I
hard
don't,
drive crashed. Oh,
Whatever.
whatever.
he was served.
What you do is you come in, the letter rogatory for the account case number by special appearance, basically Rule 17, FRCP Rule 17. So you're coming in under the trust, under special appearance and private as a general executor of an estate reversion within the agency currently being administrated.
Sweet.
Because this is what they're administrating, and this is where the reversion comes from. You have to set up this account to operate as if you were dead.
Open
I'm sorry,
probate.
I don't mean to interrupt you. You're sending this through the mail, correct?
Yeah.
Registered
Okay,
mail.
Registered mail, people. I love registered mail.
Yeah.
Put the sticker on it. Put it on the back, bottom right-hand corner. Because what do judges do? They flip it over and go, I don't see nothing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Believe
Wait,
me.
The
you're-
number?
You cannot take and send a registered mail with a sticker on the back of it. This sticker's gotta be affixed to the envelope.
Right.
You scan it.
Hey, scan it.
You put it in your scanner, you put the document in your printer, and it scans onto the document.
Oh, okay,
know
I thought you
that.
meant to affix the.
No.
Okay, sorry, well, you didn't say scan, I'm sorry.
He scans.
Peace, man,
All
peace.
right, now, since we've
Peace
done.
and heaven, Hey, it's getting a little hot in here, guys.
All right, since we've done an acceptance and they haven't adjusted the account, we come in as a mistake, as there's been a contractual restraint or trespass pursuant to 15 U.S.C. 1 against this estate of which the United States is the beneficiary. This is how we're coming in. We're not coming in under any other auspice other, there's been a breach of contract and a trespass against it. The United States is the beneficiary and your guy just claimed benefits of the United States.
Imagine these guys are thinking ridiculous.
Okay, and it is the duty of the general executor to raise a compulsory counterclaim to protect and defend these interests and rights under their rules of procedure. You don't have a choice. I have to do this. I have to do this because you didn't do it. And I have to protect the interests of the beneficiary because when I told you about it, you laughed. You went, ha ha ha. It's like, okay, fine. Do whatever you want. Because you're doing a mandatory judicial notice of this simple treaty of protection pursuant to Law of Nations Book 1, Article 192.
It's all in the first paragraph.
And what we do is we also put in, since he didn't have, we have our affidavits filed at the county level. And on that county, then we just pull out the county record of our acceptance of the treaty.
Now, one thing I did on mine is I did a certificate of mailing where I had somebody come in and inventory what's going into the envelope.
Bill of lading.
Yes, sir.
All right, and it inventories every, how many pages?
Oh, I did that.
Yeah, how many pages? And then we put in also the register number, I certified the name, whoever's doing it. Then I had the post office stamp it.
Yeah, the post office will stamp it,
And then I clipped this to it.
the certificate of mailing.
And now, you got another witnessing what was put in. So when the judge says he didn't see or
You
So
have
you get as many witnesses involved as you can.
That's,
And also,
Whack-a-mole.
I don't know how true this
Yeah.
is, I can't verify it. Register mail, I believe is covered up to $50.
We do $1.
Okay,
No,
$1.
No, wait. We were told by CPA, I can't verify, if you do 55, it makes it international. I can't
Oh, really?
verify it.
Okay.
I
Double
can't-
nickels, huh?
It's $1 something, who cares?
55, man.
It's, go to $55, it's, okay, I can't verify
In
it.
numerology, 55 is a 10, and that means the one.
That could be, sir, I don't know,
Okay,
but
okay.
Sir, who walked in?
And then at the end, we do this, the 2.70 stamps, we have the, what I do is when we go in the post office, I have one copy for me, I have another copy to go in the envelope, and I have them stamp this, so then now I have a full copy with this on the back, because I have them cancel out them.
Okay. Since the matter has been accepted by the trust for the benefit of the United States, and this property in the U.S. is exempt, and any property of the United States is exempt from arrest or seizure pursuant to 46 U.S.C. 30908. They cannot touch this property. This is exempt property from seizure and arrest.
Exempt from levy and seizure.
And for the protection of the defense of United States rights and interests, with acceptance of the loyalty of, and we're using his pension as bond.
Yep.
Oh, I bet you that made his eyes roll back.
We're using his pension bond, because if they're not gonna produce a bond, his pension becomes the bond.
oh, wow.
All right? Every public official is the same way, they all have pensions.
Hey,
If they're not gonna put up a bond securing their actions, then what we're gonna do, we're gonna make them put up their pensions to have skin in the game, to have risk. Because they're not risking anything to get anything. So we're gonna make them have risk. And pursuant to Power Appointment Act 1951, you appoint the judge as a current account administrator so that prevents them from, oh, I don't want to do this no more, I'm going to pass it off. No, we're not doing that. This attaches to everything. This is a usufruct that goes with the property. They can't transfer it without. The appointment of special executive or limited power with none other with full indemnities provided by the same one you make in defense over. Under 1295A2. 1295A2 is no person shall be held liable in any court for anything done or omitted in good faith.
No person
He's wearing two
includes
hats.
him.
He's got two hats now. He's been appointed under a full acquittal and discharge to carry out the act.
So now what you do as the trust, as the one who makes the acceptance, since we operate through this EIN trust that the IRS give, you accept full acquittance and discharge of the name from further obligation of law pursuant to that, and expects the special executor to release from lien all bonds because they put a lien on every court case. Every court case is liened up by the court. So you ask them to remove the lien, or you're telling them to remove it, you're ordering them to remove it, and deliver bonds, instruments, property, and proceeds, both ledgered and off book.
Both ledgered and off book. I love that.
Florida Rule Civil Procedure 1.13, they're supposed to be there on the record anyway. If they're not there, then they must be off book. If they're off book, you better give them to me, because if not, we're gonna run an audit of the account.
Forensic audit
Yep.
account. And then if you find out that there's been any discrepancies in accounts, a violation of the fair accounting principles.
Right.
SCD.
So now what we do is come in to release to the one making the acceptance for endorsement, assignment, release, and delivery to the actual beneficiary in fulfillment of the treaty obligations and exercise of claim and recoupment pursuant to Florida statute. This is 3.305 Florida statute, that's how they write theirs.
Yeah, that's under, that's UCC 3-501.
Yeah, that's 3-305.
Yeah.
And you'll find a
Florida statute.
corresponding one in your own state.
Yeah, Florida statute, that's the way they just write theirs.
Yeah.
That's the way they reference it. And here's the kick. And to initiate proceedings against any agent in their personal capacity pursuant to 26 U.S.C. 2032-A11 for failure to produce securities warranting this attachment, enforcement, docketing, and transfer of property rights and interests as a consequence of these agents improperly suing out the attachment for pursuant to Florida statute 67.12.
76.12. That's the attachment bond.
Attachment bond.
Right.
Right here. They have to have it. So what we're doing is we're using their refusal to have it to attach our claim to their dishonor.
We're ordering this judge for his dishonor to prosecute himself.
Well, no, we're prosecuting the agents making the claims.
Boris, when you say ledgered and off book,
Uh-huh.
would that also include the consolidated annual financial report?
Caffers.
No, that's a separate, totally a separate
Okay.
issue. That's a county issue, that's where they just keep accounting of everything that should be there.
Just want to ask.
And all those funds are basically for us to use, but they're not gonna let you have full access to those accounts to protect that. against the people for being, hey, I'm gonna go out and buy 18 Lotuses and 3 mansions.
So
to
it's
put 'em.
their insurance policy against their own fraud.
Correct. And this is why we come in. Now we come in as the trust protector. That's what gives us the authority to do this, because we're protecting United States property from being transferred. And if in the United States property, they have to have a bond to cover the taxes on the transfer, or they're liable for the capital gains.
All right.
And the capital gain is not just the face value of the note. It is the face value of the note plus the value, the actual value, the real-time, the fair market value of the property they're coming after, and all proceeds, products, accounts, everything, all profits associated with that note. So if they loaned out that note 1,000 times over,
So throw
All
a
those
W9, throw a
profits.
blank W9 in there with it.
throw a blank W9 in there with it.
Ask them for the tax ID number.
All right, this is basically how we come in.
Boy, you guys must, I'm surprised there's not snipers out in front of your house.
Well, wait, you gotta think about it because
Here's, all
the,
right, here's how I view the whole thing. If you're gonna get shot or killed, if you get through this, you're free. You die, you're free.
Yeah,
Okay, either way,
right,
you're free.
Either way.
That's the way I come at it. Either way, I'm free.
well, you remember that, you know, when you do assign the reversionary interest, you essentially have opened a probate. And no one can go in and grab stuff out of an open probate unless their claims are bonded.
Grab stuff out of the probate because the reversion kicks in at death. That's the probate. Once they
Right.
go into probate, the reversion kicks in. Now it's all U.S. property, and that's why we come in this way, because they're probating the damn estates.
And we've aligned ourselves with the U.S. property interests.
So what does this say about revision before the death occurs?
Oh, yeah, a state versus commissioner of, state, IRS versus the state of field, commissioner, IRS commissioner versus the state of field. If the corpus of the trust does not shed the reversion, the entire estate is taxable upon death.
So by us doing that, there is no
That's
tax.
their court case from their own internal IRS decisional manuals.
And that's basically
We
no
found it-
seizure.
Yeah, when I put in reversionary interest into Google, it came up with 2 codes in that court case on the first 5 searches. I was like, there we go. We know what to do now.
You know, I don't know if anybody files the UCCs online, I don't, but when we put user factory in it, and I finished everything and went to hit continue, it started at the beginning again. This is California.
Really?
It was interesting. Yeah, and it actually had, you know how you have, you know when you go on a word and you misspell it, it had that little thing underneath, and it went to the beginning.
Went to where?
It wouldn't let you put that word in.
Yep.
I was like,
And all the lawyers are gonna say they don't know what usufruct is.
Yeah.
yeah, just like they don't know about.
You know what your answer to that is? What'd you do with the money your mama sent you for law school?
Yeah.
Because we found it in your manuals.
Yeah.
It's
Like
not
for a
making it-
registration
I'm not
statement.
making this, we found this all in your manuals,
Same
your
yeah.
books, your journals, your pleadings, your decisions, all the laws, it's everywhere. It's international law. In fact, I talked to Larry B. Craft one day, you don't know him?
Oh,
Yeah.
Remember him?
Yeah.
I came up to him, I go, all right, what about if I just assign reversion and usufruct? And he goes, wow, where'd you find, he goes, yeah, people find stuff on the internet that's irrelevant all the time.
Yeah. That's
Even if it's the truth.
Even if it's the truth, he goes, people find words that are outdated. And I'm like, really? So international law is outdated, right? And we never talked since. It was like, we wouldn't answer.
Boris, it's just like the foreign registration. Why do they take this stuff off calendar
Correct.
after you file it? It's got to mean something.
Yeah, they took this stuff off calendar, which
It
means
went
they
into
did private
private.
claim, because if they're coming in to administrate the public estate, they had better be registered
That's going
as
into.
a foreign agent, because now they have to be held liable for their administration of the estate.
You're
That's how they do
exposing the
this.
fact that they're engaged up to their eyebrows in human trafficking.
Correct,
That's what this whole thing is. Traffic is a commercial term,
yes.
period.
And they're engaged in human and child trafficking.
Every court
And
case.
the funniest thing is that right there is a child.
That's right.
Yep.
It's an infant in the US code, it's a child in your state code. In Florida, they created a child. So it's the state's child, the state gets to take care of it. I'm not liable for it. The only thing that I made a mistake of is signing up to be some registered agent by accident.
Mistake.
It's a mistake. It's always a mistake. There's a mistake, and then you were ignorant of the fact that you were signing up to be a registered agent and altering your initial contract. It was formed under international law as a result of the simple treaty of peace under Article 192.
And there was also a mistake made when you applied for that driver's license and figured that you're gonna go ahead and consent to have service process at your address. It was a mistake.
Yeah,
It's a mistake.
everybody just makes mistakes. It's nothing big. It's nothing bad. There's nothing to be mad at. There's nothing to this, nothing to hide from.
Part of
You make
the-
a mistake.
part of the human
Admit
condition.
You make mistakes and move on. You're human. You're
Well,
allowed to
the
make
law
mistakes.
allows you to correct it.
Yes, the law allows you to correct this.
Can I add something?
And people who get in your way are just trying to keep you in a servitude that you don't want to be in.
If you speak loud
Don't
enough.
ever say error, because an error can't be
Correct.
corrected, because a mistake can be.
Yeah, it's a mistake.
There you go.
Everybody made a mistake.
How's that?
Can we say
They
Google?
mistook the license.
I made an error.
That's what it's all about.
Wow.
They mistook it. We shouldn't have had it. We didn't know. We thought we had to have it because every time we don't, we get in trouble, right? Part of the Pavlovian conditional training. So, to avoid trouble, you get the license. Little do you know, it's what you're waiving to get it to stop having the problems, but then you get more problems associated with it. And just because the cop doesn't like it doesn't mean a damn thing. Because Law of Nations already says, I have the right of innocent passage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm under the shield of the Law of Nations because we have been freed as a result of the United States taking the interest in this entity. Because if you were a slave, you would be free. They can't take you and put you into bondage. Remember what we quoted
Involuntary.
earlier?
Yep.
The United States cannot, nor any of its agents can put you into bondage. They don't do that. We do that. We put ourselves into bondage by thinking we had to act as we have for this. Now we just go back and correct it. But now since they're using the name and number to come after the people, and they're not even bothering with the law, this is what kicked in, this natural protection against tyranny. This is a natural protectionary mechanism that exists within the system to prevent the very tyranny we're experiencing. And it kicks in when they start using the property improperly. This is how come we can come in this way. Because it does prevent that. As long as you understand and live it and feel it and become it, you can prevent it. And you can get back to your original state and have everything back to what it was. But now, you're also coming of age. You're coming into the age of reason. Your age of enlightenment. First you have to see that they took this, and once they took that, it's all their interest. Now you just defend their interest as part of your duties under the Declaration. Because it's a sacred honor. You defend that trust so everybody can have access to it. I don't care where they are in the world. Everybody can have access to this. Doesn't matter because the United States went global. They went global as of Civil War. Everywhere. The trust is everywhere because all it is just a giant trust. So you don't have to go into a foreign, so you don't have to subjugate yourself just to survive in this world. So you can enlighten, so you can become who you're supposed to be, and that's what they've created. This is how we protect it. This is our method of protecting it, the one we developed, when we came up with one that struck me. This is everything that I've discussed over these last 2 days culminates in this one letter. In one letter. I mean, usually I get down to like 2 or 3 sentences, but since we had a lot to cover, we used one letter.
3 words.
We can't say eat a dick, so you know. We're gonna come up with a little bit more diplomacy about it. I would love just to send a letter, eat a dick, dude. But it don't work that way. They take it as an insult.
Oops.
So you have to use these words, but it says the same thing.
That's the same.
We know what it really means.
A little more diplomatic, a little bit more nice, but still says the same thing. It says get bent. It's the Bart Simpson response.
Do attorneys have to be bonded?
Attorneys had better be registered before they get anywhere inside a courtroom. They have to be bonded and registered.
Maybe.
FARA.
Let me tell you about California, which a lot of people don't know this. There is no bar in California. The California bar was
That in Chicago?
unincorporated in 1927. And I don't know why. My initial thought was, well, maybe it's because then there's not an entity to sue. But I'm wondering if the bonding and the relationship with all this stuff in it, because all it is, it's really just a club now. I mean, there's no license, it's not by the state.
No, we have someone from Secretary of State, there is no California bar.
Right.
It's all out of Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
wait, I'd
All
like
right.
to clarify
Now,
something.
No,
now, if they're coming out of Chicago, it's called the Interstate Commerce Clause.
Exactly.
They're still under control of Congress.
It's under the Judicial Council of the State of California.
Let them come out from wherever they are because they will not have a place to hide when we're done.
They're operating under the Northern Trust Holding Company as a corporation sole at 50 LaSalle Street in Chicago, Illinois.
Wait a minute,
But in order
I can't write down that fast. Judicial state,
Judicial Council of the State of California is where the State Bar Association has their authority out of a corporation sole out of the Northern Trust Holding Company at 50 LaSalle Street in Chicago, Illinois. There's 50 corp soles for each state bar association being held by the Northern Trust Holding Company in Chicago at 50 LaSalle Street in Chicago, Illinois. We have verified that. Chicago is the intersection point where every court case goes to because that's where the markets are at, that's where the slaughter market is, that's where they let the blood, they package them all together and they're shipped into New York for futures trading.
that's where the rocket, there's a special organization in Illinois, there's a book about it.
Chicago Board of Trade, CBOT, has got a special arm in
And that's
it.
just their usufruct side of it.
That's right,
Yeah.
that's it.
That's all it is. You're looking at their usufructuary side of it because that's the only thing you're gonna see in public.
Remember, all the commodities, okay, pork bellies, beef, all those things are handled out of Chicago.
Yeah,
They do a bloodletting every day. That's the sacrifice.
that's why they're called the Chicago.
We don't have to worry about it anymore.
How about the judges? Don't the judges still have the power?
What was the question?
The judges? Judges, I don't know if they have a bar or not. I know they're all part of the little judicial organization. Or
No.
something like that, where they get trained and shit.
No, I think, aren't they off the bar once they become a judge?
Yeah, they can't be a bar member.
Yes, sir.
They can't be part of the bar once they're a judge. It's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Well, I think.
Their bar membership is put into a blind trust.
There you go.
That's what happens to it. It's like they put into suspended animation, okay?
And then they go through their own special little training.
What happened when Clinton became president and Obama became president? They were both attorneys. They put all their assets into a blind trust, right?
Yeah, but
Then he was disbarred.
Yeah.
He can never practice law again.
Yeah,
Ever?
same thing with Michelle Obama.
But same, yeah.
For insurance fraud, she was ordered to turn in her license for
There
insurance
you go.
fraud.
I mean, they do go after these guys and they do prosecute them, but you know, anybody who gets up and high
But
levels of
he was
public
a
authority has already been
constitutional
compromised.
attorney.
You
Constitutional
gotta remember, the higher up they get in public power, the more compromised they really are.
Yeah.
And the reason they do that is to keep them under control.
Yep.
Yeah. Because if not, these
Like
politicians.
secret
have no
societies.
conscience. These politicians have zero conscience and they'll sell their own mother for something.
Absolutely.
Well, in Obama's case, it was his grandmother.
Yeah.
They murdered her.
Yeah, but this is our basic way we come in.
It's pretty dynamite.
Yeah.
And we come in using everything we discussed these last 2 days. Shows up in all our paper, it shows up in our paperwork, one shape, form, or another. Then again, everybody I've ever met along this way, all their information has shown up in everything that I've talked about these last 2 days. All right? This is not just me, this is everybody I've met along the way, all their inputs, everything that they've done. I've taken it, so this, and I put together some puzzle pieces. And that's really what I do. I put together a puzzle. And they put it into a Scorpio on a case. Come on.
This is where it all like makes sense. All that other stuff that we've learned from, Gene Keating and Winston Shroud and all these other people, where it was like, okay, I get it here, but I don't get it here. This is where it all kind of makes sense.
Right, because
And
they were
supported
coming
by
out
law.
through certain pieces
Yeah.
and parts and thinking that was the way you do it. It's not. You gotta remember, the United States and the state registers everything for their benefit.
See, what
I
I
don't
like about
benefit
this,
from it.
you're supporting it with law, whereas they would just say it, but it's like, well, how do I defend it if you're not pointing me to a law?
Right.
Don't defend.
And I mean, that's why this is an evolutionary process. I've been at it about at least 13 or, at least since 1999. Like I said, the spiritual aspect goes way beyond that, because I was aware at a young age.
That's the key.
But now I brought it in and I have begun to integrate it with this. And if you do not integrate your heart with this, your spirit with this will not work. You cannot come into this with a hard heart.
Your
If
energy.
you come in with a hard heart, I don't care how right you are, they will destroy you.
Or with a bad intention.
Right.
There's
If you come in with vengeance in your
Yeah.
heart, they won't happen, because remember, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
Leave it up to them.
Right.
Leave it up to them.
Okay, I have something very important. It says the people, it's case law. People versus Jajic, okay?
Who, what?
How do you spell it?
1980, it's case 1980.
People versus
People
who?
versus Z-A-J-I-C.
Gadget.
1980.
Gadget.
It says, the judge is also officer of the court, and as well as all attorneys, okay? They are attorneys.
Yes.
All the judges are attorneys.
No, they're all officers of the court.
Officer of the court is not an
A
attorney.
bailiff is an
Because
officer of
the
the
judge
court.
is also.
A notary is an officer of the court.
As well as attorneys.
Okay, an attorney is, the officers of the court doesn't necessarily mean they're all attorneys. A bailiff is an officer of the court, is he an attorney?
A notary is an officer of
A
the
notary
court.
is an
I was gonna
officer.
say,
No, a notary is
I
an officer
understand
of
what
the
it
state.
says. I understand what it says. All judges are officers of the court. Attorneys are also officers of the court.
It says the judge is attorneys as well.
Does it say that?
Yeah.
Okay, then they're attorneys.
They're attorneys.
That's fine.
Was that, was that state or federal?
That's fine, that's fine, and I don't care what the hell they are.
That's it, that's it.
All I care about is they took the position they're in to administrate the estate, and I'm gonna hold them to it.
Yep, they agreed to be a
That's all
public
that matters
trustee.
to me. I do not care about statutes, codes, rules, other than what applies to them. Because they don't apply to me, so you enforce it against them, because they're the ones who took the power, they're the ones who took the paycheck and everything to do this. These statutes and codes and everything else regulate their activities, not mine. All right?
It's all your fault.
Not mine.
You're coming in international
I
and
accept that
telling
for
them how
honor.
they need to act, basically.
Right, you're coming in with a shield. And the shield is just an impenetrable fortress of love. You cannot get through it if you come in that aspect.
There's no questioning the intent of anything you're doing when it's laid out like this, because it complies with national or international law.
Yeah, I mean, all it is we're coming in, hey man, there's been a contractual trespass, there's a restraint of trade. Somebody's interfered with this contract by not administrating the estate properly like we instructed. We set this up now, we came in as a grantor and it's as simple as that. You're the settler and the beneficiary of your own Social Security accounts. You reap what you sow. You'll get both. You have to settle it, and you'll be the beneficiary of the settlement. You don't want those positions, especially of this trust. All right? You do not want those positions. The settler and the beneficiary is the usufructuary. So you shed that usufruct. That's your reversionary interest. That's what you're giving back to them, because they're the naked owner of the name. They can do anything they want with it. Your use of it is a usufruct. So you give it back to them, and now you have no interest in that name. But you still get the right to use it.
And dispose
Because
it.
they need you to use it to give value to it. Other than that, it just sits on the floor like a dollar bill. It has no value. It has nothing if it's not being used. A cup has no value if it's not being used. A couch has no value if it's not being used. This is the same way. It's just a piece of paper sitting in a drawer that will collect dust.
This is giving Caesar what is Caesar's.
Right. And you're doing it, this is just
Yeah,
the
plus
public.
fractional reserve banking.
You're just giving it the public side of it. And their fractional reserve bank and all that shit is their usufructuary side of it.
That's their side.
Let them worry about that. All you care about is you're getting exempted, and all you want to do is return all property proceeds and everything else that you made claim to on behalf of the United States, because that's their property now. It's not mine.
Not
Don't
only
come back
that,
to me with it. I'm not the owner.
this positions you to be in the earth, not of the earth.
Yeah. So you're coming in, you're giving everything back to them, and now, if the grantor of a trust owns more than 5% of the reversion, he'll be treated as owner. Well, what does that mean? What interest do you need to get rid of? The reversion. Nothing should revert to you for any transaction you occur in their world. You do not want that stuff. You do not want that energy to return. right? And it goes out, does its job, you don't want it to come back because it comes back with a usufruct attached to it. And you give it back. Because it's all you ever owned, and once they claimed ownership, why do I want that back? That means I'm liable for the taxes, the repairs, the
Accounting.
the accounting, the inventory, the maintenance, the security of it. I gotta take care of it. Why do I wanna take care of it when they already offered to do it?
It's their shit.
They already offered it. And they offered it by taking it. Military law, they extended to everybody on earth. Now come in and defend your contracts. And you defend your contracts by being executor of the estate of which you assign your interest, of the assignment of the interest, which is a reversion. It's also called an estate of expectancy. And it's basically a release of expectancy.
Real estate, they call it a state and remainderment.
There you go. It's all whatever, it's whatever reverts back to you. It doesn't matter what it is, how big it is. If it's more than 5% of the value, you own it. I don't want that.
Size doesn't matter.
I don't want it. No, it has to be 5%. It just has to be more than 5%. As long as it's more than 5%, and that's going to what reverts, then I will be treated as the owner every time I use that damn entity. And you don't want that. You don't want to be the owner because it's a usufructuary interest. Then it's a title to a usufructuary interest. Why do you want the title to it? Let them have the title. That's what they took. Give them what they want. And they wish for it. Be careful what you wish for.
That's right.
So you get something like a home.
We can't hear you, Francis. Share with us
You get
too.
something like a home. How do you put the title? I mean, don't they send you a title?
Yeah,
So what do you put the name in?
your name.
It's a deed
The
of
name.
trust is what you're getting, it's not a title.
Yeah.
The deed of trust is a recordable document.
Yeah, that's all you really need is that deed of trust.
Yeah.
When you go down, I think when you do what we got, like I said, we had a guy who went through real estate closing, flipped all the documents over, signed, paid the United States without recourse. He never got a book for payments, he never got a tax, and he got a treasury check back. All right, there you go. That's how you buy real estate.
So does the treasury own it then?
So you buy everything. Pay to the order of United States Treasury or United States of America, either or.
The deed of trust is made in what name then?
Well, whatever the name you're gonna use is the one buying the property. Yeah. It's all gonna be
Don't
done.
worry about the names, hon. The names are irrelevant.
What name you put down there that you want the deed of trust in?
Just put whatever name you want.
Francis.
Use your birth certificate name. That's what it's there for.
Yep, use that
It's
name
just
to
an
hold
account
title.
that's holding it.
Yep.
Your birth certificates are technically holding accounts.
Right.
They're tax exempt holding accounts, or 501c2s.
They're settlement certificates.
Yeah.
That's what they really are, settlement
You're
certificates.
basically holding property where the income goes to someone else. 501c2 corporations. That's a tax exempt holding corporation where the income is held, where the property is held by one and the income gets shot off to wherever it's gonna go.
I don't know if you mentioned after doing a lot of the stuff with the package, I went down to the bank. Some of you guys have already heard this story. I went to the bank in January to try to set up a duplicate account. I had some issues with my daughter and ex-wife talking stuff about the account. They went in and they said, oh, you need to bring in all brand new documents. I said, no, you scanned it, just use the same stuff. And they go, no, there's something triggered on the account. I said, well, let me see. And I saw the name, but the social security number had been transformed into an EIN. I said, whoa, click that. And she opened it up and she said, oh, the name James Bernard Heaven is now a tax exempt corporation. Now I said, whoa, who in this bank changes that? And they go, oh, no one here has the authority to change any of that. That comes down from on high. So what we're doing does transform the nature of that account if you do it right.
That's coming out of the office of the comptroller of the currency.
Oh, they got copies of all this stuff.
Jim, go ahead.
She signs off all of that and covers, sends it in, but she still owns the house.
She still gets to use it.
No, her name,
The name
the
owns
title
that.
owns it. And it always belonged to the United States government. It's just that we keep fighting with them about who
Alright.
actually owns the name.
You gotta remember
Now
what
it's
happens in
50.
statehood. When a
Without
state
making
comes
all
into the
that.
union, they remove all the corporational crap off of it, put a lien on all the property and inhabitants, and then license
Put it
out back to the
back on.
corporation.
Right.
Jeff
Okay, so the
Francis,
homes and everything else already have a lien by the United States on them to protect them from transfer out of the estates. And when you go in and start using them, all you are is one of the capital contributors of that trust, and you want trust property so you can use it. You're not claiming ownership by going to the Federal Reserve to get it so you can buy it out of that trust. You're going in to give them an instrument to transfer the trust property to you.
Beneficial enjoyment of the estate property.
Correct, and
That's
that's
all
what
you're
you're
asking
after.
for.
We discussed this yesterday when I had the question about like, well, okay, so if it's a warranty deed, are you supposed to transfer it to the United States name? Well, it's already in their name,
Right.
as your name.
Right, now you just take the
Right.
reversion, because if not, the reversion
Right.
comes back to the agency, and since you're operating agency, you're responsible for the taxes, because that's what the executor of that agency would do.
So what we said we would do is just attach something to the deed itself and re-record in the county saying,
Yeah,
just saying
we call it a reformation of trust.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what we do is we come in to correct
So
the
it's still in the
we come
name
in to
of-
correct the defect within the trust.
Right, so the,
'Cause you're the
deed,
grantor.
it's still in the name of the all caps name.
Yes.
But it's always been. But now you're just saying, well, I just use it.
Yeah, that's really
You're
what
the
you're doing.
caretaker
Right,
of the estate property.
yeah.
Yes,
The hardest part is
You're the-
trying
that's
to
general
separate
executive.
yourself from
Yeah,
the
general
name and
executive,
ownership and trying to just say, look, I never owned that name. I thought I did, but I never did.
correct.
Now I'm just
Now
clearing
you're
up.
repenting and you're learning.
Made a mistake.
I made a
Yeah,
mistake
that
and we're
program
clearing up
you
the record now.
Correct.
You
It's just-
correcting the mistake.
It's just, things got convoluted over the years, because we didn't know, things get convoluted over the years, because the people they hire are just coming from us. So they're operating over what they presume is right, what they think they're doing is right. So some of these lower level guys don't know anything other than 9 to 5, paycheck on Friday. Most of the time they speak computer. They look at the screen and goes, computer's telling me this. I remember the last time I was arrested, it was for driving without a seatbelt. They pulled me over and there was like 7 charges they got out of it. The suspended license, no insurance, no nothing. Plus paraphernalia and other stuff.
Admission.
There's actually perhaps one hitter that I want to go back and go get because it was nice.
Got a nice plunger in it.
It had a nice plunger in it. So anyway, he's pulling me over, and I didn't tell him the name. I actually gave him a picture that said Peaceful Habits, so I gave him my identification. And so he pulls me in, he's putting me in the back of the car, and I'm like, he's typing up everything. He pulls up the name on the screen, and he's writing down information. And I look at him, and I'm sitting in the back. I go, hey man, do you have first-hand knowledge of any of that information? He goes, no. I go, so you're getting it all from the computer? He's like, yeah. I go, is that computer going to be able to testify? He's like, yeah. I go, and you walk around with a gun?
You say, does that computer talk to you or something?
Yeah, I said, does that computer talk to you? Or is that the computer going to
Tell
talk to
you, does it tell you?
And he's like, yeah. I go, is it going to be able to testify? He's like, yeah. I go, and you walk around with a gun?
Shit.
Wow.
And I'm the crazy one.
Right.
So,
Yep.
whatever.
Psychobabble.
Yeah.
For the Moonday mind virus that inhabits all of them.
And also, when you do this, you always sign by, you just go /S by the trustee. Just like they do.
Yep.
I figure, I'm one of those fans of turnabout. Turnabout is always fair play in my book.
Yep.
So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna turn everything over, turnabout. They're attorneys, so we're gonna turn them about. They like to be turned. Fine.
They're gonna get their turn.
Yeah, they're gonna get their turn. They're gonna get their return. We're gonna- 2 turns.
Yeah, I would picture them lying in a flat frying pan like in a half-inch of coconut oil, just simmering in it. Oh, it's time to turn you over.
Yeah, so there's certain things you have to do in these cases. You have to raise a compulsory counter, you have to raise a counterclaim, or you have no standing because you didn't state a claim. So our claim is, we came in and accepted this, and you restrained and trespassed our claim. Fine. Now we're gonna demand you produce the bond, or liquidate the ones who did it.
Yep.
Because now they're personal liability. Because as soon as they don't have it, they accept full personal liability unless they provide some certificate from the secretary showing they filed one.
Hey Jim, did you send this to the attorneys for the bank as well?
Yeah, I sent it to the attorneys, right, the attorneys for the bank, yeah. But I'm gonna go back through and redo some stuff. I wanna have a process server, because like I say, the judge is saying, not read. You know, so I'm gonna hire a process server to actually, we're gonna skip Trace and go serve him and maybe his wife at home, you know.
Oh yeah, that always, when you get the wife involved, oh man, it's like,
Because now she gets scared, she's on his ass
we've
24
done that.
hours a day.
one of the guys in California that sued
We've done
the state of California to travel stuff, he had Ronald Reagan's wife served.
That was Charles
And once-
Sprinkle.
Charles Pringle,
Charles
yeah,
Pringle.
yeah, and so when that happened, one day, the car came up, two guys in black suits came up, and says, okay, what do we gotta do to get this corrected?
YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, it's a great, easy process there,
But it was 10 other dignitaries. And what do you always talk about? Notice. He wrote them. He wrote Reagan. He wrote 10 other dignitaries.
But I'm
I
gonna
need
bring
your
your
help.
wives into this because your wives are profiting off you.
No, but I need your help.
Co-conspirators.
And Reagan
Yes,
wrote back and said,
co-conspirators.
get an attorney.
Yep.
It's notice. And he went to federal court. They tried to get it rid of it 3 times, and the judge said, eh. So, like he said, 2 men in black
Yeah.
on this story said, hey, we'd really like to get rid of
Yeah,
it.
if it gets really bad, he's bringing
On and
your wives.
on. And
Or the
he
family.
said, I'll take it under, but he didn't know if he was gonna get blown away. He was in San Fernando Valley where we are. So he gets in his little hot rod, hauls ass down 405 south. I'm not kidding you.
95 miles an hour.
Gets pulled over, you know, driver's license, proof of registration, the whole works, says, I don't have any of that. What's your name? Charles Franco. Oh, we're just here, you know,
We're just
community
here.
assistance. Boom.
And he burned out.
It's notice, people, and I'm telling you, I don't care what you believe, and I know it's expensive, registered mail.
Yes.
Put it on, Angela, she's gone, she's my proof, register mail. Put that sticker, scan it on, front and the back, bottom right-hand corner, because those damn judges will turn on and go, I don't see nothing.
It's a
Can't do it
registered,
anymore.
it's a registered security as soon as it goes through the scanner.
55 Insurance International. That account.
I'll have to remember that one.
Yes, sir. Charles Sprinkle, YouTube. He's passed away now.
Right to travel.
Sprinkle,
Charles Sprinkle.
like the little things you put on cupcakes.
Jeez, got some
30 years
strange
ago,
analogies here.
That was 1984.
and I truly believe it's because he gave notice. That's why that judge would not dismiss it. He gave notice. And Reagan wrote back, or one of his gurus wrote back, said, get an attorney.
Charles
Truly
Sprinkle.
believe that, but-
Yeah, but yeah, I've heard of other people doing that with the IRS guys too. They don't go out to IRS agents, they go to the wives.
Yeah. Well, we
Because
did it with Chief Beck, LAPD. right
Because
there.
the wives themselves are also profiting from this,
Yeah.
and they're not
Or they couldn't
exempted.
lose.
They don't have immunity.
Wow.
The wives don't have immunity, the husbands do.
Spoils.
And they're here to nurture, not protect, so they freak out when something is not protecting them.
That's right.
It's an ongoing criminal enterprise, and they're
Benefiting from.
benefiting from the spoils,
Correct.
absolutely.
Same thing with their families and everything else. So if the judge ain't gonna do it, you just go after the next one in his family. Same thing they do with us.
Yep.
Remember, turnabout is what? Fair play.
Fair play.
That's it.
You want to hear something interesting? When I got the traffic ticket, it's in a national park. And the park service is serviced by National Park Services. It's one of the legal entity contracted with the United States of America, and they're acting as an agent for the United States Department. Now, when I got the ticket, it says pay to the Central Violation Bureau. When I didn't pay it, then all of a sudden, the United States of America became a plaintiff
Yes.
and coming and suing under capitalized name. So then I said, okay, the court says they don't have a clock of the court. This district court doesn't have a clock of the court. So then I go to district court where the main location is, and it's Scranton, Pennsylvania. So I said, are you the clock of the court? She said, yeah. Are you the court, district court of the United States? Yes. Are you the middle district of Pennsylvania district court? She said, yeah. All right, record it. And she said, no, we can't. I am not the clerk of the court, the magistrate court. She said, go over there. I said, where? She said, that's not my section. I cannot record your document. I cannot keep your document. So bottom line, I've been going back and forth trying to find the clock of the court for this magistrate court.
All right, the courts with your federal courts, always send your stuff to the court administrator in Washington DC.
Yeah, so then,
That's where you go.
then
Because the
I,
administrator itself is the one who assigns all the clerk positions.
then I started digging into the information. Clark said to me that that court that magistrate is running is a franchise court. Franchise court of the United States District Court.
Yes,
Same
they
name,
all are.
same name. Then they said, that is running by the Central Violation Bureau in Texas. I said, what? United States District Court, Middle District of Pennsylvania, all capitalized name court is running from Central Violation Bureau, Texas. So magistrate judge is working for that organization. Then I started looking for the Central Violation Bureau. Then it shows up as a DBA of the Administrator Office of the United States Court in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
So then
That's why you send it to them.
And I sent the email, would you please tell me who has an oath of office in this Central Violation Bureau? They will not tell me nothing. They will hide everything, they will not reveal anything. I don't even know who works for that organization. I gave up.
If you go on the Duns.com, you can run the SIC code.
Dun and Bradstreet.
Reverse engineer from the SIC code the specific courts and who the clerks of courts are. It's a time-involved process, but you can obtain that information.
You know how they're, everything's out of, District of Columbia? Vaughn said, because he beat him in tax court, he said, we're all under the District of Columbia.
Or what?
We're all under the District of Columbia.
That's in this state.
Yeah, it's the state. It's the Army that's coming over. It's all part of the Civil War. The District of Columbia is the one who took over.
They're the occupying army.
And the reason they did so is because they're in here for interstate commerce. They're here to collect all the stuff from the country for everything they bought. They made a clearinghouse. So they bought everything.
A friend of mine sent me a document, it's 23 pages long, single spaced. The fellow had some issues with the court, lower court, state court in California, and he started doing research. He spent 3 years researching it, and he found out every court case in state court was bonded.
Yes?
And then the federal court bought the cases
Yes.
from the state court.
Yes.
And eventually it ends up over in Belgium and
Yeah.
run by the Jesuits for the whole, and the prison bonds are run by the Jesuits for the whole world.
Correct. That's why you send your stuff to the administrative courts.
SF-24, SF-25, and SF-25A are the bid performance and payment bonds at the state level. The federal level is a 273, 274, to 275.
Okay, with those, you also have 1616 and 1618.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
also have the optional 4s 90.
And who-
Optional Form 9091, plus the Miller wraparound bond,
Yeah.
the insurance bond.
And who did they murder on the 25, 26 who was teaching them?
Yes.
Him and his kid.
With my state and federal case, when I was locked up in federal, Gary actually pulled, Gary Crossley was kind enough to pull my, put into the two cases, case numbers, right? State and federal, and there was a window open during, for a short time under fidelity, and he pulled up the CUSIP and the bond number,
Okay.
proving without a shadow of a doubt they come under fidelity
Yeah.
to bond these cases.
Right. So when you go in,
Out of the treasury account.
see,
As long
when
as
you-
you're social.
Here, that's why when you do the acceptances, they fight. Because they've already sold this shit, and now they need someone to come in as surety, and guess what? I'm not being it.
It's down the pipeline. It's like
It's
400 miles down the pipeline. They're going like, crap, we gotta stop the pipeline.
Yeah,
Get out of
yeah.
this bond."
Before they even get to you, they've already set this thing off, and it's gone.
Yeah, no
And the
trouble.
courts will tell you, we don't do that. Bullshit, you don't do that.
Okay, I want to go a little bit further because I found out a little bit more than that. In writing the comptroller of the currency and things, what I found out in my wife and I court cases, the bonds are through fidelity, okay? But how are those bonds written? Where are they written at? Guess where they're written?
Okay, the prosecutors, the county attorneys have what's called China law, which is all done by Bank of America. We know this specifically for a fact because we stopped the Bank of America and the clerk of court and the Orange County District Attorney from writing any bonds for 2 weeks. Tony Rakakis, who was the district attorney in Orange County, was pleading with Clayton Utterback and Timothy Freeman to release the China law, release the hold at Bank of America, China law, C-H-I-N-A, China law. They went over the China law and stopped all the funding through Bank of America. It threw their whole system, the court system in Orange County, into a disarray. They had to postpone over 16,000 cases that were ongoing for nearly 2 weeks.
So when did you find out?
Let me show you what I got back from the comptroller of the currency.
Okay.
What he gave me back was, it is your bank. The bonds were written from your own bank account. When you signed your signature card, you gave power of attorney for them to do that.
To
And
access,
the bonds are written right from your bank account.
yeah, to the tune of maximum
And
$50,000.
you
More
go,
than that.
and now you go
On
in.
on a criminal issue,
Criminal
if
issue.
it's a,
It was
anything
over-
more than, anything less than a class 2 or class 3 or class 4, it's $50,000. If it's a class 1 felony, it's 200 grand. We know that for a fact.
Okay.
Ours
Go ahead.
were-
All right, hold on.
Hold on.
Hold on, okay, so they take it out of the bank, you go in and accept it, they don't produce it to you, now they're bankrupt, now they have to return it. This is how easy it is to turn them around on them, the only thing is they're gonna fight you on it. So they'll fight, and then since they're gonna fight you, they're actually fighting the United States, so you send it over to them for collection. And who do you do it through? Nope,
No, DOD, right?
nope,
All alien property custodian.
Errors and omissions.
nope.
Lost oh.
Secretary of Transportation.
Secretary of Transportation.
Oh, that's right, because
Secretary-
Oh, yeah.
Secretary of Transportation is a bonded receiver in the bankruptcy. He's authorized to receive property on behalf of the United States. He is also a bonded accountor of the pledge security account you all call Social Security.
Okay,
It's called a pledger security account. We found this in a Federal Reserve manual that we shouldn't have. They were very mad that we had it.
I didn't see that on the mailing list, so is that something we gotta add?
Huh?
Secretary of Transportation?
Yeah, well, that's actually on the site there, a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of go into it a little bit there, but we found out the secretary is authorized to receive, he's also authorized to release liens, he's also authorized to release all properties from any levies, everything. He's the one who acknowledges that the vessel is free,
Secretary of Transportation.
Secretary of Transportation. And
And
the
that is-
reason that is because Coast Guard follows whoever has it in possession. Coast Guard is the key. You follow the Coast Guard, you know who's in control. Right now it's Homeland Security, because they're technically at peace or whatever. But since it's Homeland Security, Department of Transportation has certain other functions. Once they go to war, Department of Navy takes over, and Transportation and Homeland Security are both out the window.
Yep.
And now it falls under the rules of the Navy.
Would we send the reversionary interest to the Department of Transportation to get the Social Security garnishments released?
Yeah, they release all liens. So when they got liens against properties, you send it there. To settle up your court case, you send it over to the court and to the attorney generals. Let them settle it. If they're not gonna settle it, your next step is go to Secretary of Transportation and inform them you got people denying the United States benefit and they're seizing United States property.
So that's the next step when,
The
Right,
transportation
and-
of commercial instruments
And
engaged.
now, yes, and
Jacob Blue
now,
though, too.
wait.
Jacob Blue.
So that's the next step when this guy fails to
that's the
perform.
next step. When this fails, you go right to the Transportation.
Secretary of
And now
Transportation.
you give him your indemnity bond. What you're gonna give him for indemnity bond is going to be an interest bond for the reversionary interest that he is authorized to go collect. And he will be granted immunities under 12 U.S.C. 95A2,
Right.
because that's what you're relying on as the insurance policy.
Discharge and indemnity and interest
Right,
bond.
and all those stuff is all in transportation, that he's the lien holder, he's the one who controls all the commerce, he controls the movement of vessels, he controls whether or not they can leave port or not.
So if this judge doesn't do like you're talking about,
Let me go to-
we go to the Department.
Go to Department of Transportation.
Are they out
Should I
the door?
CC, should I
Are
have
they out the
CC?
door?
Let's do
Are
that.
these judges out the door?
They can be,
Right on.
because Department of Transportation has every authorization to do this.
So wait, 'cause so I should probably have CC'd this package to the Department of
No, you give
Transportation.
them-
Yes.
You give them the chance to honor it.
Okay, all right,
All
all
right?
right,
Give them the chance to honor it. Don't assume they're all acting in dishonor.
right.
All right? When you come in this way, it may force them to do something. But don't assume that everybody acts in dishonor. Give them a chance.
No, but
Give them their 21 days. After their 21 days, go elsewhere.
It's actually
Boris,
8
but
weeks.
Boris, when you talk, when this judge that we're dealing BK with private, this is next. This is Tuesday morning.
Yeah. When the judge goes private,
Yes, sir.
then you do this, and now he has a private contract with you. Now when you go to Secretary of Transportation, what do? You assign him over the interest, but have him deliver all the products and proceeds to you so you can use them for the benefit of the United States.
Under 8B6, it's 10 days.
Yeah.
If they don't respond under penalty of perjury pursuant to 2065, they're in default.
Now, are
8B6.
you talking about this?
Yeah, he just said 21 days, I said 21 days. I'm trying to clarify. Under Rule 8B6, they have 10 days within to respond. If they don't respond within 10 days under 2065, under paying penalties of perjury, that they're in their default. They've dishonored the instrument. And you can use 8B6.
So if I file it Tuesday, I give them 10 days, if they don't do what I want them to do, I go to the Department.
Yeah, just go right to the Department, then afterwards, next step is Department of Treasury, Transportation, because in the Peach treaties we have, the reversionary interest we have the reversionary interest set up to go to Department of Transportation because they're an authorized receiver, plus the 2009 Economic Recovery Act authorizes them to invest back into the infrastructure.
You know, Boris, it's interesting you see Department of Transportation because we were told by, I can't verify it, that the only person that's allowed to carry a weapon is U.S. Marshals through the Department of Transportation.
Yeah.
There's federal marshals as well.
I can't verify it.
There's
It's
three
just
federal
third parties,
marshals.
but it's interesting that he talked about Department of Transportation.
So this is the last stage. You go to the Department of Transportation and have them take care of it. Because that's who we have in these things set up to receive it.
And after that, Jacob,
What we did with ours is we set up our treaty acceptance, where we put all interest into the estate, into the state, they get all the interest. The reversionary interest goes to the United States upon condition if you use to reduce the public debt, or the debt be retired, or any revenues received goes to the U.S. Treasury through the Department of Transportation for application against the public debt, with anything in remainder being used for reinvestment into the infrastructure through the 2009 Act, and any property they receive be sold to reduce the public debt. And we set up the Department of Transportation to be the receiver of it.
So,
That's what we did.
I have order from magistrate judge and say, you pay $727 and you have a full of 2 weeks, okay? And if you don't pay, the magistrate judge will have the power to issue a warrant for arrest. So now, should I do it and then CC U.S. Marshal so that
Marshal.
I can know that there is a...
No. You know, you CCU, in order to take care of your judge's thing, all right, you're going to accept it and give it over to the Treasury yourself. You're going to go directly. And you use the transportation for enforcement capability. You're going to handle this yourself as if this judge was honorable.
Until he's dishonorable.
Until he proves himself dishonorable, when he refuses to do something. Then you accept his dishonor as his permission to go seek higher power.
Exhaust your administrative remedy and move up.
Correct.
Jim?
Okay, well then the warrant for it is still an instrument. How can you arrest it if they don't give it to you?
See, I thought it was 90 days. They're saying 21 and then 10.
Well, it's a warrant for your arrest, right?
I thought 90 was default.
How can you seize an instrument if they don't have it, if they don't present it to you? What is an arrest? It's a seizure, right? Okay. How can you seize the warrant if they don't present it to you? How can you take it so you can endorse it if they don't present it? That's what I'm getting at. Don't be afraid of the damn warrant. It's a check. It's a check for you to accept and endorse. The second thing I'm done now, they're in dishonor.
Flip it over, put pay to the United States.
I've never even seen a warrant.
Okay, but you know, that's what we're learning.
Yeah, but that's what you do. That's a whole thing behind it. Everything they give you, you accept for honor, pay to the Treasury, ship it back to the Treasury, give this jackass a chance to do it. If he doesn't discharge his name for further obligation and allows it to continue, now you go to Department of Transportation because now they're forcing you into a servitude, and transportation is the one that's going to protect it.
Enticement and slavery.
Yes.
Now, that's something new that you talked
That's
about.
the U.S. Department of Transportation, Secretary.
Yes.
Office of the Secretary of the Department of Transportation.
Yes, and you do it, and
An alien property
controls the
custodian.
liens,
No,
he
that's,
controls levies, he
no,
controls
that's
movement
Jacob
of all
Luke.
vessels, he controls movement of all traffic, he controls movement of everything.
just seemed like.
He controls
What
labor.
about the state, Department of Transportation?
What about them?
And they are involved in this federal companies, they are.
Property of the United States is exempt from registration pursuant to 46. Transportation, all right? Property of the United States is now under threat. Once they refuse to do this, now you have to go on the one that's in charge of protecting now is against threat. Title 46, this is transportation issue.
He has the authorization to come under ICE, under customs, to stop the derouting or bifurcation of the instruments.
So the GSA forms, the GSA form 95, 90, 91.
That's an optional form.
Okay, so now those have OMB numbers, right?
Yeah.
How does that play in? Because they're claiming that if there's an OMB, then you have to use that to like release liens and all that. Well, I'm guessing it's through the DOT because it's GSA, right? They're in charge of
No,
all
GSA is just GSA.
That's under FAR, Federal
So the whole
Acquisition
thing is
Regulation.
separate.
Yeah, you're doing a bit, but see here, when you're doing this, you're acquiring on federal, this is actually what you're doing. You're acquiring property under federal acquisition.
That's right.
You acquire interest in property through Social Security for the United States, not for yourself. That's what everybody's having a problem with. It's not for anything for you. You are not the beneficiary of this Social Security account. You're not the beneficiary of the names. You're not the beneficiary of shit. All right? The United States and the state of are the beneficiaries of all this stuff.
Intended anyway.
So when you're doing your GSAs and all that stuff, you're going to do those forms, make sure you take that into consideration that the United States is the beneficiary.
They're like release of liens and stuff.
Yes, I know. They're the release of liens from escrow and all the
Yeah.
other stuff.
No, it was working from, I can't remember the gentleman and the son.
Jerry Kane.
Yes, thank you. They were murdered, yeah, they were teaching them.
Yeah, I know they were teaching it. Yeah, I'm in touch with his widow. She told me the whole story of what happened. She got the whole report, everything. It was a triangulation, a murder attempt from a Fast and Furious gun running operation. It was also done against one of the officers who happened to be the cousin, the son, or the cousin, or something, the son of the chief. And the chief has a history of of racism and all kinds of other stuff. It was a message hit. There was another message. It was not only was it get rid of Jerry and Joe. It was to it was also to send a message to that dude. Jerry and Joe just happened to time it all up where they were coming through on a trip.
Texas, right?
That's what happened. 'Cause they got the autopsy report, they got the witness report, and the white van had an orange roof. There were three shooters, not Jerry and Joe. They weren't shooters. It was three like Mexican dudes or something like that, and they were trained. All right, they were trained. The shot that killed the cop literally blew his head off from 3 different angles. They literally decapitated him with 3 bullets. They were trained. It was a triangulation shot. Jerry and Joe just, hey, they're there. We can pin it all on them. Plausible deniability, go off and this and that. And everybody thinks Jerry and Joe is
And then
evil.
send it down to
And the
Southern
reality, Jerry and Joe is teaching people how to complete their contracts and release their property from all this lien bullshit.
Yeah.
And what is, they became a threat to the bank.
And the Southern Poverty Law Center got onto it.
Yeah, and Southern Poverty Law Center and everything else, and I've been dealing with the widow. And here's the funniest thing of all. When we did these UCCs, like the Baylor Bailey, 30 days to the day, when Donna filed her UCC, Jerry's wife, she got a call from Apache Corporation down there in Texas on an oil field. She just happens to be an unknown beneficiary heir of 640 acres of the most prime oil land in Texas.
I never.
Nobody knew about it. Nobody did anything. It was when she filed her UCC, it hit the real estate records and they had to contact her. 30 days to the day it happened. And now she's involved because they probated the estate, she found all kinds of stuff, and now she's in the middle of all that.
Yeah.
So we're waiting to see
We
what
went to the
happens with that.
seminars, yeah, we
She
said
she should be getting it all back because she's the living heir. And they said in her affidavits that no living heir existed. So as soon as she showed up, they rebutted the affidavit, and now everything has to revert back to her. The current contract her aunt got into on the land was negotiated for 9 cents a barrel back in the 50s, and they just started doing stuff in 2011.
That's going to be a nice forensic accounting job.
Yeah, it's gonna get ugly down there in Texas, baby.
Special master.
Yeah.
Y'all
So,
come down.
yeah, so
Good
we're gonna
people.
find out what happened with everything on Monday, I think. Like I said, I've been talking with her.
Good.
Not
No,
her,
that's
I'm
awesome.
getting her good, but
So
she's
basically,
a very interesting woman.
I wonder if Gary knows about those oil fields.
Who?
Here.
I don't know.
But you know, and all these things are just set up so that they could create this sovereign citizen thing, and then they come after.
Oh yeah, you know how you handle that? Why do you call me a fucking moron?
It's an oxymoron.
right?
It's an oxymoronic statement.
Yeah, it is.
They're calling you a moron. They're calling you an idiot.
Judge mentioned that in my case, I said objection, that's an oxymoron, you didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Give them the Declaration of
Yeah,
Independence.
you just object to it and go, that's oxymoronic. Why are you calling me names? I didn't come on in here and call you a fucking dick, did I?
Yeah, when they called me, I just said, how can such a thing exist?
Yeah, I mean,
It's a
this is the way
contradiction of terms.
they're doing that to get a rise out of people so they can classify them. They have to categorize, classify, subject. They gotta put everything in its proper place in order they know how to deal with it. They don't know how to deal with this, so they're gonna try and classify it as sovereign citizen.
I try to ask them, can you define what that is? Because I don't know what you're talking about. She says, oh, I guess if you don't know what one is, you're not one anyway.
Right, this is
Moving
not
right
sovereign
along.
citizen, this is us exercising our shield under the law of nations by way of the extension of martial law and the freedom we were granted by the United States coming down here to free us from the tyranny that were the states.
I told the judge that this U.S. attorney, she's framing me as sovereign citizen, and sovereign citizen who kills a cop, no one is killing cop, and she has no evidence that I killed cop. And you know, and this is ridiculous. And the media is setting up
But you're
all
arguing.
this. And
Yeah, so you're arguing with them.
You're arguing.
Yeah, you
Just
don't
accept
argue.
it. If you're gonna go
I just
that
ask them a
route,
question.
You just go, okay, fine, I accept the fact that you think I'm a sovereign citizen, now what proof of claim do you have against it? Or are you just here to do a character session and you have no other way to deal with this?
This gentleman's trying to tell you, quit arguing, please.
Yes.
Ask questions.
Yes,
You'll
I
stay
don't
on it.
Ask questions, you don't
Anything
go
they
into
do, they're
order.
gonna-
Ask King.
How
are you gonna find the sovereign?
If they're gonna label you something, I don't care what they're gonna label you. You always accept it upon proof of claim that they have proof of it, or you have no other way to deal with this.
Yes.
Don't ever go off your point. Bring them back to your point every single time.
Because that's what they're trying to do to you.
Right, they're trying to get you off your point and argue with them. And everybody starts arguing with them because you're trying to prove something. Stop trying to prove something to these people.
Come in
Why
peace.
are you trying to prove something to people that chose to return their back on their creator? What do you have to prove to them?
Nothing.
What do you have to prove to these guys?
Zero.
Nothing. Accept it and demand they prove the claim. If they don't, they just dishonor their own damn claim.
It's that
It's that
simple.
simple. This is not complex. Stop trying to make it complex. Stop trying to make it where you have to prove something to someone to say that, oh, this is my position, I'm going to make it right. No. My position is, I accepted this and I'm going to come in and do it. Either you prove me wrong, I'm asking you to shut me up. Go prove me wrong.
Forget the stats, forget the codes, forget everything. Do this.
Yeah,
That's
accept it, give
It's
it
that
back to
simple,
them.
guys.
That's your
We
contract.
could have finished this yesterday.
Yeah.
Not that it's a bad
This
thing, but
letter pretty much alone.
it's that simple.
Would you file this, or would you just mail it registered mail?
I filed it. Well, what I did with the judge, I got a process server to do the inventory of what was in the registered mail and sign it under his number. And he sent out registered mail. And then I had Boris do an inventory on one and have him send it regular mail. Then I got that process server to get a process server in that county to do an inventory, and she process served them. So I just nailed them every which way, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we're just creative. That's all we do with this. We just get
I
creative.
kind of overdo things, that's how I am.
You know, but really, just your acceptance is created in
Every
contract.
angle, man.
Because remember,
Now, I sent one to the state administrator, the court administrator in that county, the clerk of court, the public defender, the judge, and the DA.
All right, remember, your acceptances,
CC them all.
your acceptances are your bill of exchange for indemnification. All right, that's all you need. The rest of it is just understanding what you're doing. And that's the simplicity of it. That's the beauty of what they put into play. It is so simple that you can't believe it to be so simple, so you look for how complex it can be. When in reality, it's really simple. And all they do is just hide it. And the hiding of it is what makes you fight against it. And fighting against it means you're turning your back on it, because now you're trying to prove something right, instead of knowing it to be right. Knowing it to be true.
You don't handle this stuff in the courtroom, because if you go in that courtroom, you're a U.S. citizen, and that's how you're gonna be looked at, and that's how it's gonna be, period. You do it on the private side.
And that, I mean, it is. It's really, 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 really simple. We make it really, 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 really complex. Because we want to show how smart we are, and we want to show how much we know, how much we want to prove it, how much we want to come after them because they're assholes and dickheads and whatever else we think of them. Let it go. Let it go and embrace the simplicity of what is.
Got a question, is this on the website?
What?
Is this stuff on the website?
It will be, we're gonna clean it up a little bit.
I haven't put any of that stuff, any of the stuff we've done in the last 2 or 3 weeks on the website.
And I think we want to incorporate your CC stuff. We want to make a good, clean package.
No, this is all brand, this is all like done in the last week or 2. All right?
This is one of the reasons why we redid the whole curriculum.
So this is beta.
I was facing 60 days, and I put this in, I never went back to the fourth. So is anybody out there with, is there a cop out there? Can I leave?
There's two guys in black suits.
All right, final question.
All right, final question?
They told me they were looking for it.
Me?
It doesn't concern me right now, but it might be important for somebody else.
Okay.
What do you do with the document with no room on the back of the right? Like one of my ex-husbands didn't have name.
Oh, you can put an allonge on it. You can just attach another sheet of paper to it. You don't have to do the endorsement on the instrument. You can do it on a lawn or a separate sheet of paper, as long as you get an endorsement on it.
Okay, yeah, because he didn't have his name on there until he was like 30 years old, so they had to do it.
Yeah, UCC already takes care. Oh, by the way, UCC 8-501, Part D. This is why you must do this. If a security has been made in the name of a person and has not been endorsed or in blank or endorsed the securities intermediary, the person to whom it was issued will be treated as holding it, even if they're not holding it.
They're liable.
I have a question.
UCC 8-501D.
I have a question. For the people that are in foreclosure and trust deed states where they don't have judicial foreclosures, you don't have someone with a judge making a claim. Who is it that has the oath of office? Who do you invoke that's going to be the account that you're going to appoint as the with limited power of attorney to be the special executor?
I went over this yesterday, didn't we, with the judicial foreclosure states? Yeah, non-judicial?
Non-judicial foreclosure state? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Yeah, because you're a deed of trust state, you don't have a judicial foreclosure. So you don't have like claims coming from some judge or making an order or anything like that. It's a non-judicial. So in this case, when a claim comes in and you're going to go ahead and do this, assign a special executor, who do you pick?
There's always an attorney.
Yeah, there's a trustee.
Oh, the attorney on behalf of the plaintiff making the claim.
You make the
Got
attorney on
it.
behalf of the plaintiff.
Because they have a bond. You want to accept their bond? You want to accept someone's bond?
What was your question?
Actually, I have a question for anybody that's here from New Mexico, that was born in New Mexico. Has anybody that was born here tried to get their long form birth certificate or certificate of live birth?
Well, I've got one, but I got it back like 30 years ago.
But that
Okay.
you were born here and you were able to get it though then?
Yeah,
1982.
Anybody else? Because we are having a hard time accessing those.
Ask them for the book copy.
Okay,
book
well,
copy.
I was just wondering if there's anybody here that's done it
All
and
right,
has
so-
gone and asked for anything, so. I mean, that's the intention, but I'm wondering if anybody here has done it, has actually.
I don't think they had
His
switched
son works
over
for
to
a
the
bit.
short forms yet at that time.
Really?
So they
He
were
worked for
automatic.
7 years.
So you were, so they have it, it exists. I like to see that.
Absolutely. Every
Any other
state's got a
questions?
book copy and a computer copy. either long form or short form. Every state's got it.
Yeah, ask for long form or one copy.
Well, I know, I'm
See,
going to
Michigan,
get
I
our
didn't know what it was
I'm just
called.
wondering if anybody else here has actually done it or not.
You'll get it if you get the right
Well, I'll
term.
have
Final-
to, like,
final
try
question.
our supervisors.
Anything else?
Thank you.
That needs to clear up?
Right, and a letter has to be-
All right. Well, I thank you all for coming on. Hold on.
Just throw dollars at them.
Yeah. I thank you all for coming out.
For breakfast.
I thank you all for listening to the message. Hopefully it'll take hold and sink in. All I can say is thank you.
Thank you, though.
Thank you.
Lisa, Jim, Bob,
I hope you all got your money's worth.
you sexy guy.